These were the very first tools that Festool ever manufactured. Around 1928 and 1929, everybody was still using hand saws and axes to chop trees down or make firewood. And that's when they came up with the idea to put an internal combustion engine in a tool that drove a chain that could then saw up the logs. And as you can imagine, they had to solve some problems while they were doing that. One of the problems that they had was that the internal combustion engines with the carburetors right here didn't allow for the motor to be turned without the motor shutting off. So with a modern chainsaw, you can run it straight or you can turn it sideways to make all your cuts. But you couldn't back then because if you turn the motor sideways, it would shut off. So this is an example of a problem with a tool that Festool came up with a solution for that they then have gone on to do with all the tools they've invented throughout their entire history. To solve the problem of the motor shutting off, they have this lever right here, which allows you to turn the blade to different degrees so then the motor can stay upright and you can still make your cuts. This will allow you to make a 45-degree cut so you could cut the bird mouth out of the tree, and then you could go one more time and turn it all the way flat and then make your bottom cut on the flat to fall the tree down. Now this one here was small enough and light enough that it could be handled by one guy. This one probably weighs about 40 or 50 pounds. But for the bigger trees, they had to come up with a bigger saw, which is why this big monster was made. But as you can see, it's way too big for one person to handle by themselves. So what they would have is one guy on this end operating the machine, and then you would have one guy down on that handle that would hold the other side of it. And then together they could work and maneuver the saw to make the cuts they needed. And then down here on this end where the other guy would hold is where they had to come up with some more solutions. One, obviously, as you know, if you run a chainsaw, the chain starts to get hot, and so you need to lubricate it. So they put right here a little spot that you could put oil in and then lubricate it. And then as you use the chain, it starts to stretch and get bigger. And so on modern saws, you've got a chain adjuster, usually near the front of your saw. And this handle, in addition to being a handle, also allows you to adjust the tension of the blade as it's being used. And then on this big saw as well, they have this lever right here, which you can pull, which also allows you to change the angle of the blade for the different cuts you'd make. And here on the back of the chainsaw, you've got these wooden handles, and your throttle right here, you can use with your thumb. And then to start the saw, they didn't have one of the cables with the recoil. You had to grab this leather strap right here, then you can hook it on, wind it up, and pull it to start it.